Two big cards, one over in the UK, one over in America. We're going to focus on that big card in America now. Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, however you want to shake it out. But the ring returned to New York with what looks like to be very much on the precipice of a sellout card at Madison Square Garden as well. What's your expectation for that main event between two fighters who are of the four kings, four princes of this generation, they've been called?
Yeah, so you're mentioning Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. You could put Gervonta Davis in that mix. Vasyl Lomachenko was there in that group, and Keyshawn Davis moves into that area as well. Can we include Dalton Smith in that group as well?
He's a champion right now.
The rogue prince from Sheffield in the grouping. Obviously, it'd be nice to see him ringside if he is going. Look, it's a massive fight. It's a big, big, big moment for Shakur Stevenson, fourth weight divisional world champion if he can win it. If anyone can spoil his progress to the head of the pound for pound list over the next few years, it's Teofimo Lopez, the Honduran spoiler. He really is a dangerous opponent for anyone. And obviously, he's got the skills, he's got the footwork, he's got the dance. He looked good against two other great southpaws in Josh Taylor and Vasyl Lomachenko. He got his footwork right on those nights in brilliant performances, a true beating of Vasyl Lomachenko that night, and a dismantling of a befuddled Josh Taylor. Having been ringside at that, it was an amazing performance by Teo, who has genius in him at times. Now, if he's got genius in him on the night when the bell rings, it could be a very tough night for Teo based on the size of the two men. Yes, there's not much difference in height, but there's a big difference in physicality of the two. But I still think if Teo's on his very best game and if Shakur's on his very best game, I think Shakur can win a very close points decision, but he's not going to be able to lie on the ropes with Teo. He's going to have to meet him in the mid-range and win those battles in the mid-range. It's going to be an amazing contest. I'm going for Shakur, but I can just as easily see Teo winning and us going, weight divisions for a reason. Shakur is struggling against a big 10-stoner, a big 140-pound fighter in Teo, who's very powerful, but it's a massive fight, and it opens the portals, as you rightly say, to all those big names fighting each other again. We've had a bit of a pause in that period, and the big names fighting each other again. Conor Benn knocking around maybe with fights with win of Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios towards the end of February. If Ryan Garcia can get back into the frame, he becomes a player in that grouping. If Teo wants to go to welterweight, Devin Haney comes into play again. So it's a really, because I think Shakur's ambitions may not, he may go up to welterweight even. It may be, but if he looks good enough against Teo Lopez, there'll be talk of that.
Yeah, I've heard a number of people actually picking Teofimo Lopez as well. And in fact, Duke McKenzie's done a breakdown on his channel, and he's also picking Teofimo Lopez, who's with that explosive knockout power that he possesses. You just mentioned there as well about the prospect of Conor Benn. If these two do jump up to welterweight, Conor Benn is in attendance as well, and I think he's had some back and forth in the past with, I'm sure, Shakur to my mind. But how do you think Conor Benn squares up to both of these fighters?
I think he loses to both of them, but I think he puts up game performances, and I think he brings fame and fortune and notoriety to the event. And I've said this since he beat Chris Eubank the second time at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, that he's a player in the big fight scenario. He's a box office fighter now. There's no question about that. Whether he's box office elite, we're yet to find out. Whether he's box office world class, we're yet to find out against these guys. As I say, I'm not picking with my heart in terms of thinking that Lopez and Stevenson would beat him. I'm picking with my head. But you never know with Conor. He brings everything when he fights. And that last performance against Eubank was a much improved fighter technically and tactically and strategically. So who knows? But it's a fans fight on Saturday night, and arguably, if you look at Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatani, Naoya Inoue and Bam Rodriguez, Beterbiev and Bivol, Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, it's probably one of the biggest fights in the sport right now. Jaya Pataya and Moses Tauma. God, I love the idea of that fight. Arguably it's the biggest fight in the sport technically, and in terms of what they are proficiently in the ring.
With this ring card now, and I know once a promoter puts on a card, it's in the hands of the fighters to deliver on the action, but they're coming back to New York first time since, of course, the Times Square fight, which didn't deliver to the degree which the promoter would have wanted it to deliver. But do they need a card with fireworks this time around? Do they need to deliver, considering New York would want, or the fans would want something big off of the back of what happened at the Times Square?
Well, you said it. It's almost a sellout, and that speaks for itself. The boxing crowd is very big in New York, and a very knowledgeable crowd. It always has been, and this is a moment where Turkey Al Sheikh's ambition with Ring was to do something very different, was to bring New York to a stop. We've all been in Times Square. It's an extraordinary place. To have put on an event there is a major feat. There's no question about it. The problem was the 3 or 4 fights that we wanted to deliver on the night didn't deliver, which was a pity, because we didn't get the thrills and the action we wanted. And they were almost semi-finals towards this kind of thing, really. So, I think Madison Square Garden has magic dust about it. I think it'll be an amazing event. It wouldn't surprise me if Lopez and Stevenson bring the house down with their contest. It wouldn't surprise me if I can see the Teo Lopez. I can see people picking Teo Lopez as well, of course, because of what he's capable of. But I can see them also having a controversial split points decision one way or the other, where people argue the toss over who has won and why the judging wasn't right. And I could easily see them doing 24 or 36 rounds together if their styles meld really well and blend very well. And I think they may well do, Eamon. I'm looking forward to one of the biggest fights of the year and one of the most special fights of the year. Remember the anticipation when we finally got Beterbiev and Bivol in a ring together, and how good they were. And they were like 2 tanks going at each other, almost impervious to pain, impervious to each other's punches, all out action, not a pause in the physical and technical chess game they were having. I think we'll get exactly the same from these two. There'll be no pause in this fight. Wouldn't surprise me if Teo does hurt and stop Shakur and halt his progress up through the weight divisions, but it wouldn't surprise me if Shakur's got it in him to beat Teo.
Very finally, at the start of this topic, I addressed that we had 2 fights one in the US, one in the UK. That's now being scratched off. That's now being confirmed. Gareth, the Ring magazine, have put out here Adam Azim versus Gustavo Lemos is off due to both men picking up injuries. The Ring has learned Lemos injured his hand first. Azim was going to face Nahir Albright as a replacement, and now Azim has suffered a hand injury. Fran Hennessy and Eli Butel have elevated to the headline. So the card does go ahead, but that fight falls off the card. Gareth, what's your reaction?
Well, I'm very disappointed. Great for Butel and Fran Hennessy. Obviously covered Fran's progress in massive detail. Took her paddleboarding last late summer with Mick there on the Mick Hennessy, her father, the former promoter. We had a great day, and she's an amazing person, and she will carry it. The BBC show as it is will go on. Is it the Copper Box?
Yeah.
It's the Copper Box, yeah. Disappointed for Adam Azim because, following in the kind of the wave of Dalton Smith's success, it would have been nice to see Adam Azim have his fight and carry on his victorious run at the moment in the 140-pound division. Very disappointed. What can I say? I mean, I just hope there's nothing else in the background to it other than these injuries. It's a shame because it's a big year for him and he needs to move up. And, in the first month of the year, we've seen 2 of the best prospects in British boxing in Adam Azim, who's really starting to mature, and Moses Tauma have their fights delayed. And I imagine Adam won't be out now, probably till March, rather like Moses.
Yeah, we're waiting to see for more information on that one, but the card does go ahead as has been stated officially. Gareth, appreciate your time. Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out. Look forward to you. Oh, you got Bare Knuckle, haven't you, to look forward to, right?
I am. I'm heading to Bare Knuckle, working on the broadcast team on Bare Knuckle. 3 fights on that card. The Dan Gittins, Javon Wright welterweight title is off after an injury to Javon Wright last night. That's the problem with our sport sometimes, is that a minor injury or someone can't fight, and big events get pulled off. But thankfully, there's 3 other world title fights on that card. It's BKB Bare Knuckles' 50th fight. It's in their spiritual home of Miami, where Mike Vasquez, the owner, is from. And Dada 5000 started it all with his Trigon in the backyards there, the backyard brawls as they were, with Masvidal knocking around and Kimbo Slice and all those guys. So spiritual home this week. It's an incredibly busy week. And of course, Josh Kelly fights Mers, doesn't he, on Saturday night as well. And Leo Atang, I spoke to last night, is on that card. He's a guy to watch out for this year. And watch out for the signing, which we haven't mentioned, of Alexander Usyk against Andy Ruiz on a Zuffa card soon, because that's being kind of vaguely reported at the moment. And if that goes ahead, we will see big moves from Zuffa over the next couple of months.
Gareth, looking forward to all that news. I'll keep an eye as much as I can during a busy week on the bare knuckle as well to enjoy my first installment of the BKB offering over in Miami as well. Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out, Gareth. Speak again soon.
Cheers, Eamon. Safe travels.